Hey guys, welcome to the Heart of David. Hope you guys are all doing well today, wherever you are in the world. Today's subject is, are you born again? And has the promise of Jeremiah happened in your life? Has your heart been turned into a heart of flesh? Have you been born again? That's my main question. So it's really hard to know where to start here, because in my story, you can only explain your life, all the ways that you and I came to Jesus Christ and changed in a certain way. We all have our own different stories and how we came to fully putting our faith in Him, right? Let me say this. Oh, actually, let me say this first. If you are in a state where you are, you're fed up with apostate people, you don't know who to follow, everyone's tricking you. This isn't God's doing. This is the devil's doing. This is people who are choosing to do it, people who are choosing money and fame over God. And those are the people who are going to be told, I don't know you. I never knew you. Depart from me, you who practice sin. You who live in lawlessness and think you're saved. To each one of us is given a certain measure of understanding by God. And I'm not going to say that God favors people, because He doesn't. Yeah, God doesn't show favoritism. I don't know. He has compassion on who He will have compassion. I do know that much. But God knows when a person is searching for Him. That when a person is searching for answers. I also believe we're not automatons like Calvinism. There are people who call out to God in the most horrible of states. God can choose to save whomever He pleases, but it's also a choice. I believe in both of them, okay? I believe both God chose to save some people, and I believe the whole earth, all the other people, have a choice, okay? I don't like getting into those pointless debates, because I'd rather talk about God and well, saving your soul and giving you the proper information, so you're not so easily fooled by this age. And what do I mean by that? Every YouTube video that you turn to, you know what? I would say 75% of them or more are not really focusing on God, and that's not their goal. Although they think it may be. They're selling books. What I'm saying is they're turning it into a cash register, a business, and you full well know what I'm talking about. And like, I don't want to get into that subject either, but you can't worship both money and God. You know that, right? So let's just start here. And I give the example of my own life and how it happened to me and how I don't know how to explain it. But it is what it is, and I can't change what happened. Let me catch my breath for a second and take a sip of water. I think you'll enjoy this video. And you know what? I point this. This video is for people who are looking for that heart of flesh, are looking, saying, I'm just being taught religion. This is just all religion. It's just like studying science or something like that. And, You look at men who are going to seminary and going to these colleges and they study all the history of the church and the world of religion and all these things, and a lot of them are not saved. Just think about that. How many priests do you know who are actually saved? Priests, I'm talking about now. And so many, think of how many people are under the Catholic faith like I was. Some of them are spirit-filled. They are absolutely. And I know some. But not a lot, though. So I'm going to get into something in just a sec here. I just shaved my head, so it's like 20 minutes old. My hair is 20 minutes old. Okay. I hope that, listen, I don't get that many views. That's okay. I do this for God, but I also, of course, do this so that, you know, when I go to heaven, that someone walks up to me and says that what you said helped me. Help me get to getting saved, right? If you just think about this, think of all the different religions that there are. Let's just say there are 6 major ones or something like that, that, you know, make up the majority of the population. None of them have the actual, besides Christianity, and within Christianity, it's a very small margin of people who have a heart of flesh. They were saved. They were born again. You cannot reverse that. You cannot. God doesn't give us a gift. It's a gift. It's irrevocable, right? Anyone who thinks it's revocable doesn't understand the gospel. Our faith. Once you're born again, man, if you start going off the rails, God's He's gonna correct you. That's what I believe. People who are truly saved. And, you know, the debate and argument always is, you know, anyways, was he saved in the first place? What it always comes down to. When you look in these religions, so Christianity, Jesus Christ is not a religion. He is the way, the truth, and the life. No person can come to God the Father without going through his Son. He is the only way. Right, Oprah? He is the only way. So, when you look in all these other religions, right, it's sad because they're chasing after nirvana, or they're chasing after virgins in the other world, or, you know, perfect nirvana, you know, like become one with myself and, you know, don't worry about I don't care about others around me. It's, you know, like, I think you know what I mean. I think it's like Buddhism, where you're trying to achieve a state of nirvana or something close like that. I'm not going to pretend to know a lot about it. I don't. Actually, I was studying some of it actually in my course, though, on multiculturalism. So none of them, no matter how it looks, no matter how devoted it seems, and they may get joy out of it. And some of those people who are really devout and really do care about God, but they don't know God, God knows. God knows about them. And, you know, that's like the question, what happens to all the people who were never taught about God? And I think all of them have heard about Jesus Christ by now. I believe probably there's no part of the earth that hasn't. I just don't believe that. If there is, it's going to be very soon anyways, but none of them have the born again Spirit of God, and no way can I attest more than my own testimony. I'm on here. I am a testimony to God, to give glory to God and to save you. And so I know that people must be able to see this in other people's lives, and they see you changing, and they don't know what's going on. And you know what? Through it, you lose people. I've lost people who were not good to me. I can think of 3 people, friend and family, who were not good to me. I did nothing to them. And this is what Jesus Christ said about coming in, and I came to put a sword between you. Not to be violent and not to be... You have to understand what he means about that. If you're going to follow me, are you still going to worry about those? Are you going to choose them over me? Or are you going to pick up your cross and put your faith in me, right? Doesn't mean you can't care about them. That's not what it's about. It's more about, are they willing to accept that you are like this? And a lot of people are not. So, that heart of flesh, it comes in our lives when we are... Okay, now here I'm going to tell you about my life and what I don't understand. I understand, but I don't know exactly how it happened. I don't know how to explain some things, but it happened anyways. Let me pace here for a second. And although you think you've heard the story before, this is kind of in a different light this time. So, raised Catholic. Like I said, I was an altar boy when I was a kid. Christmas Mass, Ash Wednesday, all those things, Mary worship, and I'd read the Bible, I'd heard scriptures in church, and through school, and I went to a Catholic school, and it was very ritualistic, right? And now all the stuff that they do, like priests and transubstantiation and the bread, and a lot of things out of Catholicism are just wrong. But that's my journey. Once I opened up a Bible, I understood that they were lying to me. I need say no more. The Immaculate Conception, right? Like, just a lie of the things that they say about Mary, that Mary was without sin and never had children. It's just unbelievable. It's in the Bible. It says that he had brothers and sisters, in any case. And you can't get it through to them. So, despite, and people are going to say, well, I don't understand this. This isn't what the scriptures say will happen. Although I believed in God since I ever remember, since I was a young child. And I had a bad life, okay? I just did. But I still, I wonder if I went through all different traumas and different pain disorders that I acquired over the years, if they were just trials and tests. But, I always thought of God and stuff like that. And I went through a really, really tough time, as you guys know. I don't want to get into that. But suffering with the worst pain disorders known to mankind. And, I don't remember really calling on God. I don't. And, I don't remember calling on God because I was probably in such a state of pain that I just wasn't able to. I do remember reading the Bible, though, once while I was bedbound. God's timing is not our timing. And I don't know, like, when I think of the spot that I was in, I had gone through certain things in my life that were terrifying, both physical and physical, psychological. The physical things that I was going through were pain scales of 10 all the time, and I never ever thought that I would ever get better again, both mentally and physically, and they were mingled one with the other. And but when I got out on my own, one of the things in my life that I had to do was figure out what these pain disorders were, because I went for 13 and 18 years not knowing what they were. I don't want to get into too much of this, and they consumed me, and they were the worst pain disorders known to mankind. Very hard to diagnose, and in any case, that was terrifying to me, both pain and not knowing what those things were. I went through hell, man. And when I came out here on my own almost 7 years ago, seven, right? I was here and there searching for God, and the devil put something in. Isn't that funny how the devil comes along? One narcissistic woman in my life, which I won't get into, but it was right when I was getting into trying to find out about God, and I started looking, and I started to look, as you've heard, like I've said, like I was looking at. I didn't know the right people to look for. I just knew it was probably good to read the Bible. I didn't know what was in there, right? None of us did. We didn't know the power that was in there. Let me say this to people who don't understand what being born again and having a heart of flesh replacing that from a heart of stone means. It's possible. This is what I'm saying. For people who don't have that yet, you have no idea. There is a change that can happen in your life. Search after God. Do it, and try to do it with faith, because I promise you, this is a promise of the New Testament. I can't think of the exact verse. He will draw near to you. You know what I'm talking about. That if you start searching for him and you're actually interested in God, I promise you, the God of the Bible, the Old and the New Testament, which are the same God, that if you're searching diligently, he will draw near to you. And I can't promise you any length of time. I can't do it. So when I was, I would turn on Joseph Prince. I'd be like, I don't hear much about Jesus in that. Joyce Meyer, same thing. I'm like, man, I started to find some of the right people. And then you start going through, you start finding all different doctrines, and you don't know which one to choose. And here's the lesson that I've learned. Just ask God, because when you ask God, what is the right way here? If you're so overwhelmed by Calvinism and other different church doctrines and personal doctrines from apostates, this is why I don't belong to a denomination. Very close to Seventh-day Adventists. Came very close, but with them, although, man, I love them. They're, I love my Christian brothers, but, You know, when you read Galatians and you read Colossians, it's quite clear that in any case, I don't want to get into that either. I love the Sabbath day. If it was very clear, I would celebrate it. I started to get into a thing though with that oh, I can't shop on Saturday. I can't do this, I can't do that, or else I'm not going to be saved. He's going to be angry with me. You see what I mean? It's not like that. I understood. That's where the point I understood I can't belong to this. And I studied and I studied and I debated with like well-known pastors who would answer my questions. And it was David Guzik who finally convinced me. There are wolves at the door, right? Are there not? Just waiting to scam you? Give me a break here. Get so many of those calls. You know, my phone says, I'm not going to say what it says because I know there's people who, you know, people, this is the way the world is now. You can ghost any number now. You can call my home and put in my number from an app, and you can even write on it my name. So it'll have my number and my name, and it'll call me. Like, that's where we are. You know? You can't blame anyone anymore. You know, for all you know, this video right here is not even done by me. That's where we are. And it's very hard to tell because it's getting better. So I kind of lost what I was talking about there, but it was the devil. He's the prince of the power of the air, so he can do that. I'm sure he can. David Guzik, yeah, I just remember writing to him, and he was good enough to write me back, and I had good questions, and you know, I had to get away from denominations because all of them were leading to some place that was not good. And of them, the only one I really found that were whole were the Baptists, right? Southern Baptists is what So, on to my next part. So I believe with all my heart that if you are searching for God, it doesn't matter. Are you a drug addict? Or have you been through a trauma that, you know, I can't work anymore. I can't even speak to people anymore. What do I do, God? I don't want to be this way. I have so much pain, or I lost this much money. Like I can't buy that now, and I can't afford this. I'm not saying to use God for that reason, for money. But if you really need help for the things you need, in any case, what I'm saying is, if these things are happening to you, don't you think it's worth searching for who the true God is first? Forget the things that you need in your life, right? Build a relationship, and the way to build that relationship 99% of the time is to read his word. That's it. How else are you going to get to know God if you don't read and learn about his character? And to learn about his character is the Old Testament. It's the Old Testament. God always has our better good He's always looking out for our better good. His ways are higher than our ways. So, like in my last video, I said, does it feel like prayers are being answered slowly? And then before you know it, God doesn't see time the way we do. But, when you look and you say, oh, wow, man, 2 years ago I was that way. It was God. So I guess I'll move on to the example of my life. I'm very uncomfortable in my abdomen right now, so I do have to move out of the picture for about 10 seconds. I'm going to give you the example of my life and just a ton of pain. Yeah, I will name 3 pain disorders, just 3 of them that I have that I thought I was done with. That I thought I was done with. But so if you search after God, and He will draw near to you, and I don't know how long it's going to take, but don't you think it's worth looking into His Word? And if you become offended with some of the things, like what you think is ethnic cleansing, do your research and find out why it happened. God always has our better good looking out for us. Give me a sec. Okay, so, and I was stuck in some really hairy places. I was. Some of you guys know that by from another YouTube channel that I explained basically my whole life. I got full body intractable pain when I was 23 years old. I'm 46 now. Or 24 years old, 23 or 24 years old. It was 2004. And yeah, the math. Anyways, it's over 20 years. And it was really bad. It was much worse than fibromyalgia, and I knew that it was have you ever heard of complex regional pain syndrome? Supposedly the worst pain disorder on earth, and it is probably number 2, I suppose. People say it's number 1, but just hold on. And if you look at the pain scales, they give a pain scale. It's called the McGill Pain Scale Index, and it's a chart. Montreal, Canada, they made it. It's famous worldwide. It should be used everywhere. Sorry, I'm just gonna. And at the bottom of it, like say level 10 would be level 10 or 20 would be, I don't know. It could be a kidney stone. Level 30 might be pregnancy, right? Number 35. This is out of 50. Is it 50? Say 35 is natural, like no help, pregnant. Number 42 is complex regional pain syndrome, so it's above that. It's above losing your toe. And so this is what I was left with, but full body. And the diagnosing practices, I'm not going to get too far, but this is burning in my skin, shocks, bright lights, tremendously hard to move my body, and then spread over my body real quick. And then 5 years later, I got something even worse called adhesive arachnoiditis of my spine. Same type of burning pain in my legs and in my lower back, my butt. Man, I lost everything that mattered to me, but I'm glad I lost it when I did, because I was I was embedded in staring at a computer screen at a desk at porn. That's God's way. I don't know. I don't want to say that was God that put me in pain, but maybe it was the only way to save me. And so I'm just, you guys know I suffer with very severe abdominal pain disorder, so I have to get out of the shot a lot. By the time I had moved out here, 2018, I just wanted to die. There was no place for me. There was no joy in life. There was no nothing. I can't emphasize enough. And just those 2 things I named to you are just 2 out of, I think, 12 different things. And you know, maybe people say, how do you even do it? And I tell you that I was born again. That God is my extra painkiller. That I'm able to work through the pain because I know God is with me. I have nothing more to say about that, because that's it. I'll tell you when it happened. So, all those things that happened with this woman who was a covert narcissist, okay? I went through that. That person has no idea what that did for me. It did a lot. I learned a lot. And I built upon the things that I learned. But it was God who gave the increase, right? So I had been searching for God and doing all that stuff. And here's where I don't understand in my own life. And feel free to comment about this. Although I believed in God, was I saved? I know, like, I just can't say that I was saved. And that's what I'll say. I just can't say that I was saved in the same way. Somebody can say you're saved or you're not. Well, in my experience, something else happened. I believed in God, but I was still doing things that I shouldn't have been. I'm not saying works. That's not what I'm saying. Although I believed in God, I had not been born again yet. And this is the crux of what I'm telling you, the antithesis of this whole video. Something happened to me that I didn't think was even possible. And this is why there are not many born again Christians on this earth. Why? Because they're not actually searching for God. They don't want to know who He is. They don't want to know about Him. And but again, I'll say God can choose to save who He wills. And so, what was it? So as I was looking through all these places and not finding God in so many different sermons, or if you could call them sermons, they're just apostates, man. That like, I'm really breathless. I'm trying to do my best. Do you want to know when it happened? Give me a second, I'll tell you. Gotta get out of this photo, man. I remember this is how it happened. I was thinking about my life and things that I had done in the past. And I felt really bad about some specific things that I had done. You know, you get drunk, right? And then you wake up in the morning and you're like, oh man, I wish I didn't do that, right? And I started to worry about them for some reason. And one of the reasons I was worrying a lot was because I was using this CBD that was agitating my thoughts in my mind. I only use that for sleep. I use that seconds before I go to sleep now. But it was agitating me, and it was probably making my thoughts even worse. And that's when I called out to God, because it kept happening. It just kept getting worse and worse, and I repented. And that's when I decided to turn my life in the direction of obedience. I don't mean works, okay? I meant, like, I learned a lot of lessons, that things I couldn't do anymore. You guys may say, oh man, you're real strict, but because I was, in internet porn, because I was, sexual addiction when I was younger, I've literally trained myself not to look at a woman. I'm being honest. I'll do my best to stay out of all those troubles. And someone may say, you're works-based. I'm not talking about works-based. We are not saved by works. But what I'm talking is about the things that always lead me to trouble. I decided to turn away from it all. And suddenly, God woke me up. I noticed, like, I became more acute to, like, people swearing against God when I would hear that, and I knew there was something different going on in my life. I felt really, really strongly towards God, and slowly He started to help me with my faith. I started to put my faith in Him, and there is not a thing that I don't do that is easy or hard without thinking that God is with me. When I went to, the only way to get my motorcycle license, so I got my license, my M1 in Canada, really strict rules, for a good reason. With all these conditions that, most people don't have business being on a motorcycle. But I had to take a 2-day course in all these conditions. This is just an example. And it was 9 hours a day, and I said to myself, I'll never have my freedom with a vehicle, because I don't want to afford a car right now, even though I'd like to have one, but I'm like, I'll just get a motorcycle. But I had to go through a 2-day course, 9 hours, and so I got like 2 hours and 3 hours of sleep on both nights. I was so worn out. I'd be on the motorcycle or the dirt bike in the course. I felt like I was gonna sometimes fall to the ground. And I tell you, it was God who was with me that I just kept thinking about God, and it kept pushing me forward. It's these things that, you guys know what I'm talking about. We have to go through the things in our lives. We have to think our way through everything we go through and not worry about them. And I started to learn, be anxious for nothing, but by prayer and supplication to God. It's very tough for me to be in the video sometimes, guys. The longer I'm in the video, the more abdominal pain builds. I'm used to moving, eh? I'm very strategic with what I do during my day. Walks really help me. I think that's about all I want to say. If you're truly looking for God, and start reading the Bible, don't listen to what other people are telling you. Don't get into debates and arguments. If it's like what Paul says, pointless genealogies, right? And they're useless. Pay attention to Jesus Christ and the love that He has for us and the love that we should have for one another. And then you'll find yourself, I hope to God, this gets to someone, your heart can be completely changed in a way that you can't even imagine. And I'm talking to people who don't know. I didn't think it was possible. There it is. I didn't think it was possible to be like this. And in many areas of my life, to even be a leader. Like what? It's because of God. It's because I know there's no shame in Jesus Christ. As I said in my other video, who will hold a charge to God's elect? That's where I'm going to stop, guys. I hope you've enjoyed this video, and I certainly hope that it has edified you, sanctified you, and I hope that as deep in my heart as I can say to you, that you start searching for God. You'll never turn back. You'll never turn back, or you'll turn into a pillar of salt.